Hello out there, casual fanatics. Jeremy here, and welcome to the new home of casual mode. I love how my chair leans back like that for effect. Anyway, yes, finally, we've moved. We're not in my parents' house anymore. Awesome. Anyway, I just wanted to go ahead and get this vlog out to let you know partially that yes, we finally moved, which means things are going to normalize because now I have at least an hour cut off of my commute time. I don't have to leave for work, 2 hours before I'm supposed to be at work. I have plenty of time to do shit now. And I have an hour on the back end as well. Awesome. But, yeah, I also wanted to let you know that. Also, of course, you saw this past Wednesday that I had, instead of a Pokemon fan theory, I had the infrequently unasked questions asked by no one, well, with the exception of one. I had quite a bit of fun trying to figure out writing those questions and those answers. I hope you enjoyed doing them as much as I enjoyed making them. And I am going to make that my channel trailer so that it kind of gets across kind of what my sense of humor is and kind of what we do here on Casual Mode. Speaking of, another reminder, this Sunday, November 29th, will be the 100 subscriber special, Casual Mode Live, Once in a Lifetime. The classic podcast style where Dave is going to join me and we're going to have a lot of fun and go for a few hours. That's going to be taking place at 7 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/Casual Mode Podcast. And I have a very special announcement for that because since the next week is going to be the next Tokusatsu hero, I am going to announce which one of them I will be doing during the introduction segment of that live show. Which means, if you want to vote for which Tokusatsu hero you want to see next, be it the Techie or the Brawler, vote now. Voting ends when the show starts. So, Sunday, 7 p.m., November 29th, that's when voting ends, and that's when you're going to find out whether we're doing the Brawly or whether we're doing the Techie. Brawler. I accidentally called him a Pokemon gym leader's name. Anyway, like I said, we are here. I will be getting back to doing Pokemon fan theories the week after that, since now I will actually have time to research, which means you'll get to see this adorable little girl again. I miss you. Yes, the return of Chibi to casual mode. Long overdue, I know. Other announcements. Of course, I had mentioned last week that December 16th will be a very, very special fun 5e builds, where, in honor of the new Star Wars movie, The Force Awakens, I will be building a Jedi. Or a Sith. I haven't decided yet. But it will be a Force-sensitive person. And it's not going to be one of the characters from any of the movies or any of the other various different bits of canon. Although building a Mace Windu would be pretty awesome. No, it's going to be more a character made for within that universe, as opposed to someone who just is straight imported from it. So, yeah, keep a lookout on an eye out on that, December 16th. And, of course, we've got, after the Brawly, let's see, next Wednesday, hold on a second, let me check something here. I gotta check my calendar, check my days here. By the way, new internet connection, 150 megabit down. That's going to help uploading. Okay, let's see. Fuck is my calendar on this? I don't normally use the calendar, so I forgot where it is. Okay. So, of course, next week, the 2nd, is when that's going to be. Oh, looks like the Special Fun 5e builds will actually be taking over the slot where we normally have the next random 3d6. So that means 2 weeks after that, we'll have whichever Tokusatsu hero I have not yet done. So that actually works out perfectly. I am very happy. So, that's all for the news type things. Of course, we're still looking for subscribers. Now that we're at 100, we're not going to rest on our laurels. And even though I did mention that life is pretty good, I still want to keep this getting built up. So, let's not rest on our laurels here. Let's keep pushing at this. Send out the word that casual mode is here to stay, doing stuff every week, even if it's something that was originally planned or not. We're still doing stuff every week because that was my pledge to you. That's it for all the news type stuff. I did have another thing that I wanted to talk about though, and that is one of my favorite shows that I have watched in my life is coming to an end soon. This show right here, Mythbusters. And this is actually a coffee mug that was granted to me as a gift by the leader of a fan forum that I was a part of called the Mythbusters Fan Club. Shout out Nor, Black Widow Nor. Shout out. And part of the reason why I brought this out is because I wanted to talk a little bit about Mythbusters and my experiences with it and what my thoughts are on the show coming to a close. I've watched that show from the very beginning. Some of the later seasons I've missed, unfortunately, for various different reasons, most of which being that I just don't watch TV that much anymore. But I did watch it from the very beginning. And Mythbusters actually came on in a very interesting time in my life. I believe it started around about 2003. And in 2003, I had just gone through 1 year at college, University of Oklahoma. And I had dropped out after 1 year. The reason for that being was because I was struggling. I was in the astrophysics program, majoring in astrophysics, trying to go through that because I had this idea in my head that I was going to become a great astrophysicist. I was going to become the next Stephen Hawking or the next Michio Kaku. And what happened was I never learned good study habits, really. It was never gotten into me. Certainly not early enough that it would have actually stuck. For most of my life, most of my schooling, when it came to learning things, one of two things happened. Excuse me. One of two things happened. Either... Well, my first grade year was best year of my life because I was just let go to learn at my own pace. My first grade teacher was really fantastic. Second grade year, shit started to go downhill. I felt like at the time I was forced to not learn at my own pace. I felt like the stuff that I was being taught was stuff that I already knew, stuff that I didn't need to learn again. And I reacted negatively. I really gained a distrust for authority and an anger toward authority as a result. And a lot of those problems, even after my temper got under control, still have carried into my adult life. And hold on a second, I just realized I gotta adjust my camera a little bit here. There. So I never really learned study habits, and what happened during my whole year in college was, I often like to joke that some people party too much. I didn't party at all. In fact, most of the time I just stayed in my room playing video games and watching anime and not doing anything that I was supposed to be doing. And I was on my own, so there was nobody right there, to tell me that anything else, that I should be doing anything else. And so after that little failure of mine, I kind of got a little disillusioned with learning science. And then Mythbusters came on, and it showed science in a way that had not really been depicted all that much before. It showed it as much of a fun process as it is an intensive process. And I hadn't had that in my life since Bill Nye the Science Guy, really. So that was something sorely needed. So I got into the show. And when someone really gets into a show, of course, one of the things that also happens is you, especially in this day and age, is you try and get into, some of the fan forums to talk to people about it. Unfortunately, the only one I found at first was the Discovery message boards. And they were not a fun place. A lot of trolls. And a lot of people who were fixated on some of the myths that were busted in the early days that are just abjectly impossible. Things like swearing to God that the ice bullet was possible. Spoilers, no, it's not. Fuck you if you think that. Just kidding on that last part. And so what had happened was apparently some of the people there got together, went off and started their own fan site, mythbustersfanclub.com. It doesn't exist anymore, unfortunately. There is a Mythbusters Fan Club Facebook group, which I have been remiss in joining ever since I restarted my Facebook account. But I mostly use my Facebook for promotional stuff anyway, so... Excuse me. So I eventually hopped over there. And what I found there were more kindred spirits. People who respected the conclusions a lot more. Had actually interesting things to say about the process and things that could have been done. And it actually got to a point where some of the people who worked on Mythbusters actually preferred to be at MBFC rather than the Discovery Channel message board. Some of the build team was there. Adam would show up there. Some of the support crew. I remember in particular Lieutenant Alan Normandy of the South San Francisco Police Department was on there, and I remember that very clearly because his handle was very unforgettable. Always just one asterisk. The reason for that being he was part of the SWAT team, and that's kind of one of the slogans of the SWAT team. Basically amounts to, if I remember correctly, when things are going wrong, if you're not doing your job, it's your ass, and it's on you if you do something that gets your buddy killed. So, but yeah, there were a lot of kindred people there, and I joined there. I think with a since this was back in my really heavy weeaboo days, where I was like watching the crappy fan subs of Dragon Ball Z because most of the Dragon Ball Z movies had not yet come out in English. Um, I was like super hyper weeaboo in those days, and my nickname there was Phoenixu20, FENKKUSU 20, and actually, that's part of why my name on here is Firebird because, well, Phoenix, Firebird, you know. Of course, I was more often referred to as Fenny for short because, well, sometimes Phoenixu is hard to pronounce. Unless you're me and you've actually done some heavy research on how to pronounce Japanese. Yes, I am still somewhat of a weeaboo. Anyway, yeah, I was on there, and we discussed the episodes, discussed the conclusions and such, and really also had more of a true sense of community. Made a lot of friends there. Sass, Mama Sally, Lisa Nix, Misha Bear, uh, Doug Graham, uh, of course Nor, Katie Brooks, um, Lieutenant Normandy, yeah, Alan, still a friend of mine. Um, some of these people I actually got to meet later. Because the message board had kind of a little meetup slash convention thing called BusterCon, named after the iconic crash test dummy of multiple iterations that appeared on the show. And yeah, that I actually got to fly into San Francisco. By the way, if you're ever traveling on an airplane, do not eat a heavy meal before you fly. Just take it from me. Don't do it. I'm not going to go into specifics as to why, but you can probably guess. And yeah, I flew in to San Francisco, and I just got to spend like a few days there, meeting up with my friends. Um, I was young then, so I was drinking considerably more alcohol than I normally would. This was in the days before I ultimately decided that getting drunk was not in my best interest, and I got to meet all these wonderful people. Oh, and Corsi Lab. I cannot forget Corsi Lab, who I believe has, if I remember correctly, has unfortunately passed on. So here's one going out to you, bro. Um, but yeah, meet up all these wonderful people, spend some time in San Francisco. Got to go out one night to have sushi over in the Burlingame district, and that was actually where I first had sake, where I first had sushi, and where I also first had edamame. Edamame, one of my favorite foods now to this day, because I mean, it's good eats. Soybeans, yes, they are soybeans, but they're good soybeans. Anyway, oh, and then the next day, going out to Fisherman's Wharf, having lunch at like about 10 o'clock because I was still running on Central Time. And with the side of an Anchor Steam because I felt honor bound to try some of the local stuff. Not now. Not now. Anyway. And then later on that night, we had a meetup and question and answer session. And that was really fun. I actually did get to meet some of the people who worked on Mythbusters. I mentioned Alan earlier. Also, Grant. Grant was there the meetup before. He had to leave for another thing that he was doing, so he didn't get to join for the question and answer session and the dinner the next night. But he did show up there. Tori, Carrie, Adam, and I think no, I think Jamie was really busy, so unfortunately he didn't show up. But yeah, that's what we love about Jamie Heineman, and also some of the producers of the show as well while we're there, and that was a really fun time. We had a tinfoil hat contest because some of the myths were a little more oogie boogie, and I didn't win, but I made like a headband, a karate headband out of tinfoil because my myth foo is strong, and that was just one of the most fun times of my life. Best vacation that I've had probably ever. And yeah, just so much fun. And yeah. So yeah, getting to watch the show was fun. Getting to spend time with the people, with other people who watched the show, even more fun. Um, we were there through it all. We were there in the original days when Heather Joseph Witham was the lore giver. When it was just Jamie and Adam the first time. And we were there when they started the build team, when it was Scotty and Tori and Carrie. And then later on when Grant came on. And then when Jess subbed in for Carrie while Carrie was having her kid. And then when Scotty came back for the guest appearance, and then when it was just Jamie and Adam again. We were there when Peter Reese ended up leaving, and and Dan Tapster became the producer. And we were there for all the big events, all the big booms, from the word go, and it was just. There's never going to be a show like Mythbusters on TV again. I highly doubt there's ever. There were several people who tried to get in on that action afterwards, but never really quite got it the same way, and certainly none who got the attention that Mythbusters did. I mean, the Mythbusters got to talk to President Obama on one episode. They got to hobnob with movie stars, which Green Hornet. Yeah. And of course, my favorite episode of all time ended up being the one where they tested a bunch of Thanksgiving food myths alongside another champion of science in an interesting way, Alton Brown. Of course, I am a huge fan of goodies. So having those two on the same show was like a dream come true. And especially considering at one point Alton actually did an episode where he kind of did an homage to Mythbusters and taking on various different culinary myths. So that was really fun episode to watch. So I am really sad to see the show finally going. And like I said, there's not going to be anything like it on TV ever again, I don't think. But if you're interested in still seeing Jamie and Adam doing kind of science education stuff and other interesting things, check out the YouTube channel Tested. Adam Savage has got a podcast there still entitled The Adam Savage Project. All various different kinds of videos. They've gone around doing talks. I think they've even done TED talks before, especially Adam. He's really been doing a lot of that. And, they're still really, really, really busy. And the build team, even though they ultimately left, Grant and Tori and Carrie, they're off doing their various different projects as well. So it's not like they're jobless. So I guess ultimately, here's to Mythbusters. Here's to science being cool. Here's to Jamie and Adam and Carrie and Tori and Grant and Scotty and Jess and Heather Joseph Witham, Alan, Lieutenant Normandy, JD, Frank Doyle, all the other experts that they've had on the show. Here's to the Discovery Channel for having so much faith in them for well over a decade. Here's to the fans who kept the show alive. Here's to every missing eyebrow, every reality rejected, every big boom, every time the sledgehammer was brought out, every time the sword-swinging robot was reconfigured for a different purpose, every time that, they yelled at pea plants, every time that Tori hurt himself in a hilarious way. Here's to all of us who helped out. Even especially the fans who actually got to be on the show, like Katie and like Misha Bear. Sorry about the Archimedes' death, Ray. I know, not my fault, but that's still kind of a tragic thing. And, here's to Peter Rees, Dan Tapster, and all the crew that worked on it. And, here's to one of the greatest shows on television. And that's no myth. That's confirmed. Until next time, I'm Jeremy. Keep it casual, y'all.